Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Monday, August 15th. We are here live. We're going to open the phone lines right now, and it is a free-for-all. So pick up the phone and jump in and join us. Anything goes. If you have a question, a comment, a topic, we can talk about trucks, money, fuel mileage, maintenance, tires, taxes, technology, health and fitness on the road, getting started as an owner-operator, finding freight, working with brokers, getting your authority. You name it, we'll talk about it. All you have to do is pick up the phone and join us. Jump in right now. We'll be here for the next hour or until we run out of calls. So it's up to you. 855-950-3835. That's the number to join us. I've got some things I'm going to talk about, and once your calls start coming in, we'll find out what's on your mind. So line them up. All right, so on Friday, unfortunately, the House passed the horribly named Inflation Reduction Act. You can't spend your way out of inflation. It's the exact opposite. The more you spend, the more you make inflation worse. And we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars again. I hope this is at least the end of it. I doubt that they can do much more damage between now and November, but there's a lot just not working well right now in our country and our economy. It's hard to tell exactly what this bill's going to do. Honestly, the biggest thing I'm worried about, it's a very green bill, which is worrisome. One of the things that's hard to verify this, we haven't seen all the text yet, but I have heard there is a credit in there for $40,000 if you buy an electric truck. And lo and behold, Tesla announces their electric truck will be out by the end of this year. They'll be selling and delivering trucks by the end of this year, they claim. I'm pretty sure that has a lot to do with the $40,000 credit. That's huge. It should never happen. They should not be taking money from us, the taxpayers, so that trucking companies can go buy new, very, very experimental technology. I am a big fan of electric so far, but I do not want the government to get involved. I don't want tax breaks or tax credits. Let the free market figure it out. It's insane. Now, I haven't seen any new pricing on the Tesla yet. I think I'm going to go do some digging and see what I can find. The original price that I remember, there was one truck, I believe, at $160,000, and then there was one that was either $180 or $200. It was basically it was just range. You were paying for more battery, which at $160 just puts it at a reasonably priced diesel-powered truck today. Until you get a $40,000 credit. If that's the case, you could buy a new Tesla cheaper than you could buy used diesel trucks. It just shouldn't happen that way, but it looks like it's going to. For $40,000, maybe I'll go back and build a custom fifth wheel, and I'll go buy a Tesla tractor to pull it with. That'd be fun, but I don't like the way we're doing that. Now, the other big problem in this bill that I see is that there are tax law changes, and they can make all the claims they want that it only affects people who earn under $400,000. That's just not true. And we don't even know what the tax law changes are. They'll probably be complicated. Worse than that, though, this bill spends billions of your dollars to hire 86 or 87,000 new IRS agents. Now, IRS agents do one thing, basically. They audit people. That's it. We all know that our tax code is way too complicated for most people. That's why most of us pay somebody else to do our tax return. It's a lot to keep up with. If you're not constantly reading and staying up on the tax law changes, you're going to have a problem. And one of the things most people don't realize, 87,000 new agents, a lot more audits. A lot of people might be thinking, well, I pay somebody else to do my tax return. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Here's the crazy thing about our tax system. We all agree the code is too complicated for most people to get correct. Most people who understand our tax code will even tell you, no matter how good the tax preparer is, there's a really good chance there are mistakes in the tax return, in virtually every tax return. Normally, if you're using somebody really good and they're expensive, it's because you've got a really complicated tax return. So the best tax preparers on the planet make mistakes all the time. Our code is too complicated for anybody. But here's the thing. When you pay somebody to do your tax return, now, there might be some people out there who know how to do a tax return and still pay somebody else just because they don't want to take the time. That's not the majority. It's not even close. The majority of people pay a tax preparer because they don't understand the tax code. But here's the problem. When you sign that tax return, you are claiming that it is true and correct. Well, if you had to pay somebody else to do it because you don't know how do you know that it's true and correct? You don't, but you're signing your name. You are always 100% responsible for any mistake on that tax return because you are signing it saying it's correct. It's kind of crazy, but that's the way the system works. And you will be responsible for the penalties and interest on the mistakes that are found. And here's the other thing. Most audits happen a couple of years after you file the tax return. At least a year, and sometimes closer to 2, which means once they find the mistake, you go back to the day the tax return was filed, and that's when interest and penalties start to accrue on the mistakes they find. Now, you could potentially sue your tax preparer for the fees and interest, but you will always owe the additional tax. There's no way you can put that on your tax preparer. Fees and penalties maybe, but you'd have to sue them in civil court to get it. It's not automatic. You have to, and the IRS doesn't want to hear that you're not going to pay the interest and penalties because it's your tax preparer's fault and you're suing him or her or them. You would have to pay the IRS first and then hope to collect your money back from your tax preparer. How about this? Instead of hiring 87,000 new agents, and all they do is go audit people to try to find more money. And that's, I got to tell you, going through a tax audit's a traumatic experience. Terrifies most people. It can go on for months or longer. It's just not good. Why don't we actually try to improve the system? If we're going to spend billions of dollars on hiring people, instead of hiring agents, why don't we hire people to educate tax preparers and help them file their tax return correctly in the first place? 87,000 people helping us would be a huge improvement over 87,000 people trying to screw us and find more money. Why don't we just make the system better? But we don't. And this don't believe for 1 minute that this is only going to be, these agents are only going to be used for people who make $400,000 or more. Let me dispel that lie right now. It's not a myth. It's a lie. They are outright lying. Look at the statistics right now. Before the money hits, before they hire new agents, look at who they audit the most now. Right now, the largest group is people who make less than $75,000 a year. They get more audits than anybody. The richest people get the fewest. That's how the system has always worked, and now they just come out right out and lie because nobody pays attention to that kind of stuff. If they really want to go after the rich people, why didn't they do it a long time ago? Even if it's this administration that wants to do it. They've been in office a long time now. Why didn't they change those statistics? Why didn't they say, we're going to pull all these people off auditing the poor people, and we're going to put everybody on auditing the rich? That wouldn't have cost us another penny, but they didn't do that. They continue to audit poor people. Because it's easy. That's why they do it. It's quick and easy. Somebody who makes under $75,000 a year, you can find their mistake in about 5 minutes if they have one. Reviewing those tax returns is a breeze. I could review 50 of those a day, one person. And you find quick mistakes, that money adds up. Because our code is so complicated, if you go after rich people, they have good attorneys and they have good accountants, and they will just tie it all up in court. The IRS doesn't want to mess with that. This lie is just total bullshit, and it's too late now. We're going to get this. It passed. I'm sure it has to go to Biden this week, I guess, but I'm sure he's going to sign it. And here's the thing. Not a single Republican, not one. This was a total Democratic bill. So when things go to hell over this, remember, elections have consequences. This one could not be more clear. 100% voted in by Democrats. Just remember that. We've got elections coming up in a couple months. All right, I have a bunch of other things I wanted to talk about in the industry, rates and what's going on with numbers. What else did I have in here? A couple other things, but I've got some phone calls, so I will jump into the phone calls, and as long as we have calls, I'll stick with them. So line them up, 855-950-3835 is the number to join us. We're going to head off to California. Keith, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
What's on your mind today?
My question is, the IRS, I filed my taxes. Well, let's just say, what happens if the IRS actually makes a mistake and they give you more money than you actually claimed for? What do you do?
Give it back. Just give it back.
Just call it.
Because here's the thing. It's their money, and if once they find the mistake, they will come after that money. Now, I don't know if tax laws have changed a lot since I've really been involved in, doing taxes. So some of the fringe issues I may not be up on. I don't know what the current law says about penalties, or not penalties because it's not your mistake, interest. The IRS, at one point, there was a time where they would say, hey, look, we gave you too much money. It was our mistake, so we're not going to penalize you, but you've had our money for 2.5 years. You owe us interest.
Okay.
I don't know what the status of that is. How you would
go about it?
You just call them. Or did you do your tax return, or did you have a tax preparer do it?
I had it done.
Then go back to them. Just go.
Yeah.
So what was the mistake the IRS made?
They gave me $10,000 more than I had coming.
Do we know why? Or how? Was it just a keystroke entry? No,
it was a keystroke entry mistake.
Okay.
They must have just...
Okay, that's pretty simple, but
added $10,000 to the...
Yeah, that's fairly simple, but you want to give it back. If you keep it, and some people... I
don't want to.
Well, of course not, yeah. Here's the thing. Some people would say, well, you know what? I'll just hold on to it. I'll keep it in the bank. I'll earn a little bit of interest, and maybe they won't ever find it. Well, here's the problem. It's always going to be on your mind. It's always going to be in the back of your mind,
Exactly.
nagging you. Are they coming after it? When are they coming after it? And here's the other thing. Some people will end up spending it. They'll save it, saying, oh, I won't
Right.
touch it. I'll wait. Then an emergency happens. Oh, I'll just spend it right now. We'll put it back. Now you start spending it, and
Yeah.
it will keep you up at night. Just contact whoever did your tax return. Say, look, I wasn't supposed to get this much money. How do we give it back to them?
Okay. Next question.
Yep.
Has anything happened in regard to AB5 in California? I live in California, but I'm leased to a carrier in Oregon.
Yes, something definitely
we're
happened.
just ignoring it for now.
Something definitely happened. As of right now, it is the law in California, and it's not on any kind of appeal that would stop them from enforcing the law now. For a while, it was being held up in the courts, so they couldn't really enforce it for the last couple of years. Didn't this pass in like 2019, I think? This has been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it passed a while ago, but nobody was enforcing it because of the appeal process. Well, that's over. The Supreme Court said, we're not going to hear this case. The ruling from the Ninth Circuit Court, which was that this is legal in the state of California, the Interstate Commerce Clause doesn't matter, the Aviation Act doesn't matter, this is law. Since the Supreme Court said, we're not even going to hear it, that means the Ninth Circuit holds this is the law, and California can start enforcing it. We haven't heard of any enforcement yet, but we probably won't for a little while. I would say that your carrier and your situation, you're probably safe for a while. If you just want to keep doing what you're doing, I would just do it. As long as your carrier will. That's totally up to them.
Right.
But I have a feeling in the beginning, the enforcement is going to be primarily just California carriers with California owner-operators, and I even think it's going to be more narrow than that. I think they're going to focus on the ports first.
Okay.
So I think for the most part, we're safe. Look, there's nothing, you can't get hurt by this. There's nothing that would happen if you did this for 2 or 3 years and then they come back and say, hey, wait a minute, this shouldn't be going on. So what? There's nothing they can do to you. There's no penalties. There's no money you would owe because you've already paid all of the taxes. And, the employers would have to worry about that. If you've been using owner-operators for years and then the IRS comes in and says, or in this case, the state of California comes in and says, wait a minute, these are employees. What that means now is the IRS, or the state of California in this case, can go back and say, you owe half of their Social Security, half of their Medicare, their state workers' comp, their state unemployment, on and on and on. That the carrier takes that risk. You, as the owner-operator, you have no risk whatsoever in working in a situation like this until somebody says you can't do this anymore.
Fair enough. I have one more question if you have time.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So my final question is, I owe about $40,000 on my tractor. My trailer is paid for. My interest rate is about 10% through PACCAR.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, should I write a check and pay it off? Should I just keep making the payment?
My normal response would always be, I wouldn't even ask any other questions probably. I would just say, yeah, pay it off. I mean, why eat 10% interest when we don't have to? We want to keep our costs as low as possible. But because we're heading into such a rough economy and I'm a little worried about where we're going, it sounds like you clearly have the cash to do this. Would spending that money worry you at all, or do you still have plenty of cash after that?
I could do it comfortably, but I sure like having that money in the bank.
This is a tough,
especially like the rates have gone so low.
Exactly right. This is. But here's the thing to remember too: if you pay that off, your payment goes away every month.
That would be wonderful.
So I'm more of a risk taker. This is really, the decision here isn't a numbers-based decision. If it was just numbers, this is easy. Of course you pay it off, because then that means the interest goes away and we have more money in our pocket. That's pretty straightforward. The problem is, like we just said, the economy. It's comfortable having that money in there. It feels good as things are getting, a little scary with rates. And if I don't get any calls when I'm done with you, I'm going to go back to the numbers I was going to talk about today, and I want to cover some of those issues, what's going on in trucking, and it's not looking good. The news today is probably worse than what I've been saying, actually. So this is more about your level of comfort and risk. If it were me, I'm okay with risk. It doesn't keep me up at night. I don't worry about it. It's not going to, make me sick or stress me out. So I would take the cash and pay off the loan. My payment goes away. My overall cost goes down, and I'll deal with the cash if an emergency comes up or, something goes wrong. It's a risk tolerance, not a math question.
The only reason I am able to do that is because I listened to you, and I went to the CMC 4 years ago, and I did everything a little different, but I did what you told me.
Excellent.
All turned out well.
Excellent. So again,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your support. The way to look at this is, if it's just a math problem, absolutely pay it off, because it lowers our costs, it puts more money in our pocket overall. But this really does come down to, if you're going to be up at night and worried about this, then you know what? I let it ride.
All right. Thank you for your advice.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Yeah, that, sometimes it's math problems and it's easy. But, boy, like I said, I've got another call. So I may get to these numbers. If I don't, I will probably save these for Thursday. Tomorrow's the Power Hour, Wednesday's Health. If the calls keep coming in and I don't go back to these numbers, I'll probably do them on Thursday. And I'd love for the calls to come in. I can do these numbers on my open. Today's all about you and what you want to talk about, so pick up the phone and join us. 855-950-3835. We're going to head off to Saskatoon. Gord, welcome to the program.
Hi, Kevin. I'm just wondering about berberine and how long can a person be on it and still be okay with it?
Forever.
Oh, okay.
And here's why.
Okay,
this is such a simple nutrient. Berberine comes from a berry. That's it. I actually have some dried berries. I forget the actual name of the berry. It's close to berberine. I forget the actual word. I have some. That's it. It's just an extract that comes out of a berry. Very, very simple nutrient, nothing, zero side effects, nothing to worry about with berberine. I don't think I've ever even seen any kind of interactions. And yet, the simple nutrient that we get from a plant is just as effective, or sometimes even more effective, than metformin. So it's a pretty incredible molecule. And lowering blood sugar is not the only thing berberine does. Berberine has a ton of benefits. Lowers inflammation, does all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, if somebody, I've said many times, I just don't take a lot of supplements. Even when I absolutely know if I took this supplement it would help, I'm still just bad at it. And when I look at it, I go, well, if I really need that nutrient, maybe I should just eat more food that has that nutrient. So I'm not good at taking supplements. But if somebody is looking for a supplement to add just to see how it makes them feel, whether they have blood sugar issues or not, try berberine. It's a pretty amazing molecule, really.
Yeah, I'm pre-diabetic. My A1C is 6.5 to 7. And then I started taking berberine and blood sugar balance. And it took quite a while. Like, I was only taking the the two 500s in the morning that were the slow release ones.
Okay.
And then I was on that for probably almost 3 months and still wasn't noticing any difference. So then I added another 500 of the quick release ones at mealtime.
Oh,
so
good.
1,000
Okay.
in the morning, and then 500 and 500. And I had one weekly average at 5.9, and then this week's average is 6.1.
Okay, so there is the difference between a supplement and a drug almost every time. It's how fast they work. Metformin will kick in a week or less and start to bring your blood sugar down. It does take longer for berberine, but we're okay because there's no side effects either. Metformin has some horrendous side effects. Something happened with the supply of metformin, and now it's cancer causing, so there's issues with that. It's not unusual for a supplement to take longer to work than a drug does, but you're starting to see the results. My big question would be, what have you done with your diet?
Oh, I've no more sugar sodas. I love ice cream. And I buy a little bit of sugar-free ice cream once in a while. I have that maybe once a week. Carbs is just about nil.
So
I'm not keto.
No grains.
But just about.
Gord, hold on. You just made a statement that doesn't make sense. When you say carbs are just about nil, well then give me a number, roughly. And maybe if you're not counting, give me a number. Are you under 20 grams of carbs a day?
No, it would probably be a little bit higher than that. I probably eat 3 slices of bread in a week.
Why?
So I just to have something a little bit different in my diet, I guess.
Look, if somebody asked me which one would be worse for me, which one should I give up first? And this is going to sound outrageous, but it's absolutely true. This isn't sarcastic. It's not tongue-in-cheek. If somebody said, should I give up bread or should I give up my Snickers bars? I'd say give up bread. Keep the Snickers bars.
Okay.
Because here's the problem. The bread is pure sugar to your body. It's a starch, and when we break down starches, they become simple sugars, and that's what your body does. So the bread is pure sugar. And it's got all the problems with glyphosate and gluten and egg gluten and all kinds of other proteins that tear up our digestion and cause inflammation. And the candy bar is just sugar. I mean, that's the worst. And I don't know, I guess I should have thought of maybe a Hershey bar, nice and simple. I didn't think about all the things that might be in a Snickers bar, but even thinking about it, for the most part, the problem with candy is just sugar. The problem with bread is to your body, it's pure sugar, and there's all kinds of other problems with it.
Okay. If I want to eat a little bit of bread, can I have some sourdough? Is it better for you?
Gord, you can eat anything you want. Sourdough might be slightly better for you because it's fermented, but we really haven't gotten rid of the gluten, which is a big problem.
Okay.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's the reward I would say give yourself if you're willing to give up the breads and the grains forever. Don't buy sugar-free ice cream. Buy the real thing. Buy Haagen-Dazs and enjoy the hell out of it.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that could be your treat. You know, there are days where I eat so low carb, like almost zero carb for the first 8 hours I'm awake, 10 hours sometimes. Like zero carb. I'm just pure carnivore sometimes all day long. Well, if I have zero carbs by the end of the day, hell, I can eat a half a cup of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. That's not going to bother me.
Yeah. See, like I'll take a leaf of lettuce and some ham and a slice of onion, and that's my sandwich.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or
Look,
roast beef or something like that.
That's awesome. If you're doing that most of the time, just skip those other couple of times where you throw the bread in, because it only takes that little bit of bread to wipe out your health.
Okay. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good job so far.
Okay,
Thanks for the call. Stay in touch. I want to hear the results. All right. Phone lines are open. We've got about 30 minutes left, or until the calls disappear. If you want to join us, it is a free-for-all today. Anything goes. If you have a question, a comment, a topic, pick up the phone, 855-950-3835. You know, most of the time Mondays are busy phone days, or quiet today. How come? All right, so I think I covered everything I wanted to cover on the horrible bill they just passed and is about to become law. But we're just going to have to deal with that. It is what it is. We'll stay on top of it so I can at least start to bring you some information about how it's going to affect you. Now that it's passed and we should be able to get the text, people will start going through it. I'm probably going to start going through it. I want to know how it's going to affect us and small business in the industry. So I'll as soon as I have some things, I'll give you some updates on that. I've got a call, so I'm going to grab that. As long as the calls are coming in, I'll stick with the calls. So if you've got anything on your mind, pick up the phone and join us. We're going to head off to Missouri. Eric, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin. I didn't hear any of the rest of the show. I just came on because I was still catching up on a live with Anthony Chafee and John Jaquish.
Oh, got it.
And
Okay.
he answered the question about the long bar. Oh, sorry.
Oh, good. Good. What was his
What'd you
answer?
say? Oh, yeah. Well, the truth is he made the bar because so many people wanted it. And he was looking for his customers were screaming about it. They wanted the long bar, and he's like, well, you know, for the people who just want to do a wide chest press, I'll pray for them. He said he's never going to be pictured using the long bar.
Interesting.
But
Interesting.
The
Now
people
there's
who might actually have a purpose for the long bar would be tall people, like the basketball players that use his equipment and whatnot.
got it.
Because that bar would then position their hands probably about the same as the standard
Cool.
bar does for the rest of it.
That makes sense.
So-
That makes sense. So I that's the answer.
Yeah.
You know, I was a little shocked because I've read through a lot of his material. I haven't gotten to it all, but I've read through a lot of it, and he was pretty well set against that wide grip. And I thought, well, what the hell changed? And it sounds like nothing changed other than he's an entrepreneur and he had so much demand from his customers. You give your customers what they want, I guess, which is fine.
Well,
So
exactly.
I'm glad I know. Thank you for that.
That's kind of like you pretty much believe in the carnivore diet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you still sell monkey brittle, though, right? Not exactly carnivore.
That's true.
Not even really keto.
That's true.
but
Yep, you're
people
right.
want it.
People want
People buy
it.
it.
You're right. That's right. Yeah. So.
And I'm not saying that there's definitely nothing wrong with that.
Oh,
you
no,
know?
exactly right.
long as-
In the right situation, and you know what? The right situation here. If you want to use the wide bar, knock yourself out. And here's the thing, I did wide grip bench press for years and years and years and decades, and never had any injuries. Now, was it doing me much good? Probably not. It was probably wasting my time. Like most of my whole workout routine was wasting my time. So it's not that big of a deal, really.
Well-
I don't see anybody getting major injuries or so. You know, if you want to use a wide bar,
I was
knock
gonna say
yourself out.
The clarification on that, it's not so much injury, it's that it's not building the pectoral muscles.
Yeah,
Wide grip is basically for, competitions where they can get some extra weight on there because it's a mechanical advantage.
correct. Right.
But it doesn't. He talks about how bringing your arms together actually activates more of the pectorals, which is what we want to do when we're building things up. A wider grip actually works more with the triceps, which that's not. We've got a different exercise for the triceps. We don't need to be doing it with our chest press.
It's correct, and that's an interesting point. No different than when you're doing a bench press, you can create a mechanical advantage yourself by doing what we call bridging. So you put your feet on the floor and arch your back. lift your butt up off the bench
which,
and arch your back. We call it bridging. And for a lot of people, it'll add about 20 pounds to your maximum. Now, in competition, it's illegal. You have to stay flat on the bench. But, for guys
I always call that a back injury.
Yeah, you know what? There was a time when we did it too, just because it's impressive to get 20 more pounds on your bench press. But it does. It just changes the position and activates more muscles. That's why you're able to lift more. But our focus, especially when we're doing the X3 bar, is to isolate a specific muscle, not to get a bunch of muscles activated,
right,
because then it's harder to build the muscle you're working on.
Yeah. I mean, I think that anybody who is whining that they can't make a wide grip with the chest press should also be whining that the ground plate isn't wide enough for them to do a sumo deadlift. It's the same garbage.
Yeah. It's so shocking. It's like food and the diet. I can't believe how wrong we got this all these years.
Oh, I know. I still have a hard time. I have to focus on something else when I start thinking about what could have been different in my parents' lives if we'd known all this shit all along.
Exactly.
They might actually still be alive.
I know. And the
I wish there was a way to sue the entire medical industry for malpractice.
Yeah, that too. The other crazy thing is, you think when something this big is pretty well proven, there's enough evidence now to show what things we got wrong and but it never seems to matter. The average person on the street never knows any of this stuff.
They never hear it.
No, no, they don't.
As many carnivores as there are, as many people you can find on YouTube that are carnivore, as many 20-plus year carnivores as we find out that there actually are.
Right.
Carnivore is still a percentage of the population. I mean, it's still just beginning.
Minuscule. Yeah.
We're in it, so we hear about it all the time, but we wonder why nobody else has it,
Yeah.
Why they still think that margarine is good for you and they're eating egg white omelets and all that crap.
Well, the new.
I grew up on shed spread country crock.
Yeah, exactly.
The margarine was as plastic as the container it came in.
But we're okay, because the new food rating score says we should have fake eggs fried in industrial seed oils, and that's better for us than a whole egg fried in butter. Oh my God, it's so bad.
I was looking at that list, and I'm like, why am I not an Adonis? Because I ate frosted shredded mini wheat. I ate Kraft macaroni and cheese. I throw some tuna in it for nutrition.
Right.
And I'd eat grilled cheese sandwiches. I mean, my God, I was eating exactly how I should have been eating the whole time. But I guess I did something wrong because I got to 360 pounds. So.
Yeah. Well, look at what we call like the worst offenders in our diet. We know we should stay away from sugar. Grains are horrendous. Dairy, conventional dairy causes most people lots of problems. Conventional dairy is not good for our health at all. And what do we feed our kids first thing in the morning? Wheat, sugar, and dairy. That's breakfast. Yeah. I think the only thing that might be worse is, and we do this to our kids too, hell, we do this to everybody, donuts. That may be the worst food on the planet when you think about it. We're taking pure wheat and sugar. The base for a donut is just wheat and sugar, and then we're frying it in industrial seed oils that have been cooked and recooked and overcooked and cooked again. And donuts are actually just toxic.
I remember, I have a fond memory of my mother when I was in elementary school, and for a couple of years I was stuck in a Catholic school in Klamath Falls, Oregon. And she would have to drive me to school because we lived too far to bus to that school. But on the way, she would stop at a donut shop and give me a chocolate donut and an atomic fireball. And that was my breakfast every morning. It's like, frankly,
man.
I'm surprised I wasn't a fat child. I mean, I was never athletic, but I wasn't a fat kid.
Right.
You know, and I started lifting weights in my junior year in high school, and through my few years in the Air Force, I maintained the same weight at 171 pounds. But then shit went off the rails, you know, after that, especially once I started driving trucks. But
Yeah. Well,
I just wanted to make sure that everybody heard about that. I heard you say that you might buy the long bar using company money. You know, I wouldn't waste your money because really that long bar is not for you.
And when somebody said, "Oh no, he's making a long bar," I thought, well, maybe there's some new research or new science or whatever. But no, if his recommendation is don't do it, I'm only making it because people keep asking for it, then no, I don't want one.
And I listen to him all the time, although a lot of his interviews that are on the website or on the YouTube page are, you know, a year to 2 years old. But he never talked about the long bar. I got the emails that everybody else has gotten who already bought an X3. And I could have bought one ahead of time because I mean, we were given it to only prior X3 owners were allowed to access to the long bar, but I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
And then this was the first interview I've seen where it was mentioned at all. And it may have been mentioned because it was live, but I was late on it too. But I threw the question in there about the long bar. And I think one of because it was Chafee and Jaquish, but Chafee also has another guy. I don't know who he is, but he kind of co-hosts this podcast with him. So I forget what he calls it, like doing carnivore the right way or something. So,
yeah. So I even have a story about this.
He must have read my question and then he brought it up.
This whole wide grip thing. When I was in the Army and I was stationed out here in the Pacific Northwest, I was doing some competitive powerlifting, and I was actually doing pretty well. I would get my weight down to about 145. I wish I knew then what I know now because I was starving myself to get down to 145, and competing at 145, I was just doing incredible. But one of the bigger events of the year, I was so excited about it because I was in really good shape. I had just gotten my maximum bench press ever. 315, so I was feeling really good. Now, I wasn't getting 315 when I weighed 145. When I was training at about 175 is when I got that lift. But, you know, at 145, I'm still thinking, you know, there's a chance I could break 300 here in a competition, which would be awesome. So the way the competition worked, this one, they had weird rules. You had to declare your starting weight when you signed up, which was kind of bizarre. Normally you declare your starting weight the day you get there. So I picked like 275 because the other thing I knew I had a chance, I knew I was going to win my class. I mean, I was just blowing people away. It wasn't even close most of the time. So I knew I was going to win my class. But what I wanted to win was overall, which is they take a percentage of your body weight. So it's kind of fair no matter what you weigh, and it's a combination of all of your lifts. So you don't want to do a really low starting weight just to get in and qualify because you want to get the maximum out of all three of your lifts. So you want to push that starting weight. So I set my starting weight at like 275, hoping I'm going to be able to, you know, do 300. And we get there the day of the competition, and we have like a half hour, and they start giving us the rules. And they had some weird grip limitation. I mean, normally there are some limitations, but you're allowed to go really wide in a competition. And they had they put actual tape on the bar, and it was a significant change from what I was used to. And I missed my first lift. 3 attempts. I couldn't get 275 with that grip, and I was just out. I missed the whole competition.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand why they allow that kind of stuff in competition anyway. But
Yeah, like I said, there was a limit, but then they changed the limit. So, hey, good stuff. Thanks for the information. You saved me a phone call today. I thought I was going to have to go dig for that, but since you found it for me, I appreciate it. Thanks. Let's, boy, the calls just flooded in. Let's get to some. Let's go to Illinois. Randy, welcome to the program.
Hey, good afternoon, Kevin. A couple of questions on the yogurt making.
Yeah.
First, after I've made each one individually, it's okay to mix them
It is. Yeah.
to eat them?
Yep. Go ahead and mix them. I wouldn't try mixing strains ahead of time because we have different temperatures and they're going to be competing and you don't know
Right.
which one's going to win. But once we culture each batch completely, then it's going to go in the refrigerator so everything slows down anyway. So yeah, feel free to mix and match any of your batches however you want.
Okay, I'm on start my fourth and last one. And that leads me to, if I mix it with the inulin and the starter tablet and the milk, can I throw it in the fridge overnight, start it in the morning?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. And then last, am I doing real harm by blending the inulin with a little bit of milk and starter?
No. Well, hold on. Just blend the inulin and milk. The starter is easy to blend in. It will mix it. The reason
that'll shake it right in.
Yeah, the inulin it gets all globby and it won't mix right.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, so go ahead and blend the inulin in the milk. There's nothing to worry about there. I just forgot the doctor's name. Dr. Davis said, that if you blend the culture, you can actually kill the bacteria. And probably not all of it, but, we don't want to damage or kill that bacteria. So I don't use stick blenders or any kind of blenders once the starter or the bacteria is in there. Then I'll just use a whisk. But I do use my stick blender for the inulin and the dairy.
Okay. Now, if I've made all four of my batches with blended, you think I should start from scratch again?
Did it thicken?
Oh yeah. Each second batch came out way better.
Yeah, if it thickens, your bacteria is alive. I mean it now.
Oh, okay.
Do we have the maximum count of bacteria? I don't know. And the only way we would ever know is if we tested every single batch. And I'm just not going to, get crazy like that. If it thickens, then there had to be bacteria in there. And as long as there's bacteria in there and it thickened, there's a lot of bacteria in there. So, yeah, I'm going to eat it.
Okay. All right, good. I'll make sure it was worthwhile eating.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, we never know if we're getting the absolute maximum, amount of bacteria. But what we do know, even our worst batch, if we make all kinds of mistakes, is probably still got 10 times more bacteria than any commercial yogurt you can buy.
Yeah. Oh, and it is absolutely delicious with the homemade maple syrup and cinnamon.
Oh, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Now I'll give you an idea that will put it right over the top. Take any one of the new granolas, the grain-free granolas we have in the store, and now throw it in with that maple and cinnamon. It's like one of the best desserts I've ever eaten. It's like dessert. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reorder some granola. I ate what I had.
Of course you did.
Do it. I just wanted to make sure.
Of course you did. As soon as you open that bag, it's hard not to.
Yeah, I'll get a couple of other items and place one larger order then.
Excellent.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
Thanks for your support, Randy. We're gonna head off to Ohio. Sarah and Vic, welcome.
I just have a note for that guy. Dr. Davis in the PDF, he does mention don't blend the yogurt. In fact, when he's putting his finished batches of different strains together, not blender, but stir them with a spoon, because when for the PDF, when Dr. Davis gives you recipes for smoothies, he says only just enough, blend everything and stir in the yogurt, because you don't want to kill off any of the bacteria.
Yeah, good thinking. Yeah, so when I first read that, I thought, well, shoot, I've been using the stick blender on my starters, and then I thought, well, why not just leave the culture out, because it's the inulin that blends so hard. Has anybody tried potato starch? Have you tried potato starch?
Potato starch works so much better than the inulin, because it just bacteria. It just stirs right in. You something whatsoever. If people are getting frustrated with the inulin, I would say switch to potato starch.
Well, I'm almost out of inulin, so I was getting ready to reorder, and I was thinking, well, I'm glad I asked then, because you already know. Yeah, I'm going to switch to potato starch. That inulin annoys me.
Yeah, it's the potato starch you will love compared to the inulin.
Oh, good.
You can stir it right in with a spoon.
Good. I'm going to switch then.
And then I know vibrations are for Thursday, but I just wanted to say we're heading into Michigan and Jim to install the ROI CabMate.
Oh,
it
yeah.
replaces the cab shocks, the air ride for the cab.
Yeah.
It's basically the kind of an electrically controlled ride, like the Bose for the cab. So
right.
We are hoping that is a major improvement for our sleep on the road, and especially being teen drivers.
That would be big.
Constantly bouncing down the road is.
Yep. That would be big. One of the
I
things.
will let everybody know what.
Good. One of the things I've been thinking about is, we have more and more people wearing the Garmin watch. We're getting really good data on a lot of things. I'd almost like to do a sleep study of team drivers using the Garmin watch and the Garmin data. I'd like to see what's really going on with sleep while you're in that truck and it's moving.
Well, some nights my sleep improves, but then the blue goes up. I get rest. Nights it's completely orange, and it's stressed the whole time. So when I'm driving overnight, I actually, when I'm sleeping but I'm driving, my watch actually looks like I've been sleeping, because there's no stress, and
that's awesome.
It looks like I've gotten rest.
Yeah.
Not every night. Some nights it doesn't, like, oh, so that was a nice drive.
Yeah. So one of the things I'd like to start to correlate. Yeah, one of the things I'd like to start to correlate, and it could be hard because there are lots of things that'll cause our body to stay stressed all night. If you eat too late, if you eat a food that reacts and you don't even realize it, food can have a big impact on that. But I'm also wondering, could we correlate that high stress level while somebody's in the bunk sleeping with bad roads? Is your stress level much higher going through Indiana than it is going through Utah?
Right.
It'd be interesting to start seeing those. And then it might be possible that we could come up with strategies to improve it once we understand it.
Yeah. You can't skip some roads. Like that section of 80 Joliet in Chicago is just a nightmare.
Exactly.
I've got stuff pretty well strapped down, but stuff just flies.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, this last trip in the coach, part of the problem was, my shocks and my leveling valve up front made everything worse. But this last trip was awful. I mean, you really notice it in an RV because you've got cabinets and pantries and refrigerators, and I mean, you've got to know how to, secure stuff. And I mean, I was breaking things. The roads were so bad.
Oh, yeah, it's not fun out here.
But
when you're trying to sleep.
But I'm sure 87,000 IRS agents are going to help make our roads better. Like, aren't there? Aren't there about at least 10 really important things we could spend money on right now, other than IRS agents?
Border Patrol agents.
That would be nice.
20,000 of those.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And they're swamped.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not even Border Patrol agents anymore. Nobody's patrolling the border. They're babysitters and they're shuffling paperwork is all they're doing.
Let's hope that the IRS has as much trouble finding people to fill those positions as everybody else.
Well, you know what? Maybe we can. Maybe we'll just combine a couple programs, like all these states and cities with, they got rid of cash bail and they just let people out. Hire those people. Keep them busy. If we're not going to put them in jail, you might as well put them in the IRS and keep them busy.
Because they'll stay straight there.
Exactly. All right.
Anyway, the big thing I wanted to call for was, I don't want to wait till they just give me the numbers on the economy and trucking.
Oh, okay. So you're asking for them. All right. We can talk about that then. So here was some of the numbers that shocked me the most. Load postings. I had no idea it had gotten this bad. Now, this is coming from DAT, so this is just DAT's data, but you have to know that all of the load boards follow the same patterns. So if this is the pattern that DAT is seeing, Truck Stop's seeing it, the little load boards, everybody's seeing it. Reefer loads down 44%. Flatbed loads down 39%. These are postings. So, if there were 10,000 postings before, and we're talking in the millions, the numbers are actually in the millions, but I'm using easy math. If there were 10,000 postings, now there is 660, or 6,060, from 10,000, 6,600. That's a huge drop in the number of loads available. Van was at 36%. Even on van. The interesting thing was, and I'm not diving as deep as I would have, but you're getting the ideas. And then there was a lesson in here. The one posting that is up, which tells us something, and this one actually tells me a lot, because most owner-operators never post their truck. They hate posting their truck. They don't want to post their truck, but that number is way up. A lot more people are posting their truck now. And the lesson is, in bad times, you should be posting your truck, whether you think you need to or not. There are a lot of advantages when times are tough to posting. And here's how it works. There's a whole bunch of brokers out there that get up in the morning and they post their loads onto the boards. Well, before they do, they might look for trucks to move those loads. Because if I can already find a truck there posted looking for a load, and I have a load, it's easy. I don't have to post it. I don't have to go through all that work to get all the data up there and then wait for phone calls. I'm just going to call this truck that just posted and offer them the load. So you're going to get offered loads that haven't even been posted yet if you post your truck. And here's the other advantage. Who has the upper hand in negotiation? If I call the broker looking for a load, or if the broker calls me looking for a truck? I always have the advantage if they call me. It's kind of like this speaking engagement I just took. I haven't had a speaking engagement in a couple of years. And I wasn't looking for any. I didn't really want any. But if I would have said, hey, I done any speaking for a while. I'll throw my name out there and see if I can get some interest, and I'll start looking for events. Well, when I call somebody and say, hey, I'd like to speak at your event, and they may not know who I am, and now they have to go research. I'm not in a very good negotiation spot there. But when somebody reaches out to me out of the blue, somebody I don't even know, and says, hey, we want you at our event. Well, I'm in a much, much better to negotiate now.
Right.
So the numbers are just actually worse than what we thought they were. Rates and some numbers I was thinking about going through, actually expenses. I saw some numbers that actually shocked me. The one place was showing owner-operator expenses were over $2 a mile. Where the hell did they come up with that number? That can't be right.
Nobody asked me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not even close.
I don't know where they get half the numbers for those things.
Yeah, that number, I know what it should be, and it's nowhere near north of $2 a mile. I don't even know what you could possibly start to include that would get you to that number. I mean, it's possible today, even with fuel prices.
Expenses at home.
Yeah, if they do that, then, yeah. I hope that's not what it is, but you might be right. But the numbers were way up. That was the lesson, because whatever number they were using from, I think they were comparing it to like 2018. At least they were using the same method. So whatever they were throwing in there, they threw in last time. And the real lesson was how much they had climbed. The numbers have just gone through the roof. Now, let me ask you this, because I used to think of a basic service, oil change, lube, that kind of stuff, roughly $300 to $350 on the road. This article claims it's now $700. Is that right?
Well, even a few years ago, some places you go with $300 to $350. Some places was $600 to $700. It just depends on where you are and like their hourly charge. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is anymore, but we have, like, ever since we got the truck in 2020, Jim's been doing all of our service, and we throw in some stuff on top of that. I never looked at the line on just the service. Even before that, like if you go to freight, after a PM, you're going to come. Well, a couple of years ago when we did, you come out between $600 and $700, and if you go to TA, you could come out between $300 and $400. So it was always a difference depending on when.
Yeah, the interesting thing there is I'm going to go back and dig a little on that and redo the numbers on the OPS. If oil changes are $700, the OPS is going to pay for itself in less than 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
We haven't changed our oil since our Christmas.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. I'm going to move on because the calls just keep rolling in. We're going to head off to Idaho. Tony, welcome to the program.
Morning, Kevin.
What's on your mind today?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking about getting the X3 bar, but I have a injury on my arm, and I want to get your opinion if you think I can go ahead and use the X3 bar properly. Okay, so what it is my bones that are connected to my elbow, they were shattered, and their lower arms put back together with a couple of rods and pins.
Okay.
And so with my arm, I can bend it up and down, but if I lift my arm up, like I'm going to shake your hand, I can't twist my hand either up or down. It's when I, lift my arm up, it's, straight out. It's like I'm going to shake your hand.
Okay.
And that's how my hand is. So I can't, there's
Got
no
it.
twisting it, up or, no palm up or palm down. So if I have a bar, I don't know if I can move it with my other arm and, keep it straight for all the movements. What do you think?
So here's what I would try. The good news about this is if it's not working, you're going to know it pretty quick. Well, one, you may not even be able to get into the position to do the lift. Obviously, then it's not going to work.
Right.
We could still do other lifts, and I'll kind of go through what I would do if I couldn't, maybe use my hands or get my hands in the right position for every lift. I could modify and still get some good lift in. The other thing here is if you're really doing any damage, you're going to know right away. It's going to hurt. So if it really hurts,
right, yeah.
And we can't get past that, then you stop doing it because we're probably doing damage. Now, let me ask you just so I know. Have you cleaned up your diet?
Yes.
Okay. Because if not, then we can't trust our pain signals because they won't ever go away. You just stay inflamed. But as long as you've cleaned up your diet, we can trust our pain. If there's pain there, probably not a good thing. So here's what I would try. I would just grab a broomstick or any kind of a rod like that, a bar, a rod, a broomstick, and see if you can do these motions just with that. Play around with it. Like you said, if you put the rod or the bar in your right hand, the one that won't turn kind of the way you want it, but take your left hand and pull it down, see if it works. If you can do that and it doesn't hurt, well, then I would do that. So, and I when we really shatter bones, you can get some weird things like you're talking about. My index finger, from where I shattered my hand, it does not bend the way it used to anymore. And there's nothing I can do about that. It's biomechanical. It just doesn't bend anymore because the bone is different than it used to be. My bone is actually a little shorter now because of the way I shattered it. So, and it doesn't hurt. I can try to force it into another position. It doesn't hurt, but I can't move it the way I used to move it on my own. So I would grab like I said, a stick, a bar, anything, and play around and see if you can do those motions. And if you can do them without any resistance, then the band system is a beautiful solution because the bands, I will tell you, are the safest way to lift, by far. Way safer than machines, safer than live weights, safer than dumbbells, because when we are in our most vulnerable position with the bands, there's almost no tension. Where if you want to bench press 300 pounds, you have that 300 pounds of force throughout the entire motion, and you've got to deal with that dangerous spot where you're vulnerable to damaging joints. The bands take all that away. So I would try, and your best bet will be the bands. Now, let's say you can't get into the perfect position all the time. I could still play around with, you may be able to use the band alone, sometimes without a bar. You have to be a little more careful. It's a little more, I don't want to say dangerous, but it's a little more likely with just bands that you might injure a wrist but you're not going to do major damage to something. You might work out with just a band and end up with a sore wrist or something and say, well, maybe I shouldn't do it that way. But I could see taking the band alone, doubling it, grabbing it, kind of the way I was explaining the other day when I do like flies or cable crosses, where you're like hugging a barrel. But in that movement, your hands are up and down. They're not parallel with the ground. You could also do a bench press like that. You could take the bands behind you, hold your hands upright the way and just push away from your chest. Now, it's going to activate a couple different muscles because of the arm position, but you're still working a lot of your upper body muscles. Things like squats, deadlifts. I have a feeling you may be able to figure out how to do some of these big movements, and those are the movements that are giving us the most benefit. When we do tricep extensions, we're almost doing tricep extensions for our vanity and our ego. It makes our triceps look big. But if we want to be strong and powerful, as a human being, we want to do those big movements that hit all kinds of big muscles. Deadlift or squat. And I would probably say deadlift. Deadlift probably hits more muscles than any other exercise I can think of, and it's big muscle groups. So it makes us really strong when we walk. It makes us strong in our balance, makes us strong going up and down stairs. And those are the kind of things that get really critical as we get older. So even if you can't do everything with this system, you're going to be able to do a lot.
Okay. And I was thinking maybe trying to like just buy the bands or maybe buy the whole thing, because I didn't want to waste the money, for the bar if I couldn't use it. Maybe just like try to buy the bands.
Before I would try the whole trick with the broomstick and see what you can do.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you want, call me back and say, well, I was able to do this, but not this, and we'll kind of decide, is it worth buying the bar or not?
Okay. I'll do that.
All
Thanks,
right.
Kevin.
Sounds good. I'll look forward to hearing back from you. Let's go to Wisconsin. Jim, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Kevin. You and I spoke last week about the Garmin watch and the HRV data.
Yeah.
I called Garmin support, and he looked through the programmer's database. He looked through the tech support database, and for our watch, he cannot find anything relating to the HRV data. But he did say, you said you had the Oura Ring, and I think Lisa did not have it installed. He was thinking maybe it's picking up the HRV data from the Oura Ring.
Definitely not. For one, that's this guy was in tech support.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I am getting really, really frustrated with the lack of good customer service and support, and I'm not blaming it on companies anymore, because I'm finding companies that have been outstanding in customer service for decades, and Garmin is one of them, and it's a lack of good quality people to hire anymore. And it is getting so frustrating. I swear I deal with it every day. For somebody in tech support to think that it is technologically possible for my phone to pick up data from an Oura Ring and show it in my Garmin software, is he an idiot? That's just a stupid assumption.
I can't answer, but that's what he said.
That is a really stupid assumption. Yeah. Anybody who understands technology, and if you're working in tech support at a technology company, you would know that the odds of that happening are about 1,000,000 to 1. And if we're troubleshooting, which is what he should be doing, we don't go to the most outrageous possibility first. And I can tell you it's absolutely wrong. I wasn't wearing the Oura Ring. I had stopped wearing it a long time ago because I get all the data I need off my Garmin. What I said was, and I know why people got confused, I actually said I'm going to put the Oura Ring back on so I can compare the two raw numbers. Now that I can see the raw number on my Garmin, I thought, well, I'm going to throw my Oura back on and see how are they close. They should be very, very close. And that's the only reason I even mentioned the Oura. But the fact that he couldn't find it now means nothing to me because I have zero confidence in this guy's ability to do anything. So I'm still going to call.
Right.
I'll call Eric, because it's clearly there. I mean, it never used to be there. Now it's there. I don't know why some people aren't seeing it, even though they have the new generation. Maybe they haven't updated because there's two different pieces of software that goes with this watch. Maybe they haven't done a hardware update that's there, or maybe they haven't done their software update yet. But I'm pretty sure Eric will be able to tell me what's going on.
Yeah, he looked at the firmware on the watch, on my watch, and the version of software I have both on Diesel and the Connect app.
And
he said all that's updated, so
So I can even say I just realized I haven't opened the Diesel app since this issue came up. It was on my Connect app that I saw it. So if anybody's looking for it, where it is for me, it's on the Connect app, and it is the very first reading under My Day. It's right at the very top. It says HRV.
Yeah. Yep. No, I got the latest version of Connect, and it's not there.
Yeah, so something...
So I'm sure Eric can get better.
Yeah, something's going on, and I'm sure it has to do with an update or a version or something, but we'll figure it out, because I really like having the raw number there.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, in fact, I think I said this the other day when I was on the road, my numbers had kind of bottomed out. My average HRV was down in the low 30s, which is really, really low for me. I knew I was, really not in great shape right then. And my goal is to get it up over 50. I mean, I want to get it as high as I can possibly get it, but I like to set little goals so it keeps me motivated. So I thought I'll set a goal to get it to 50. This morning I looked, it was 49.
Right.
49. I'm almost there.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep. And it's the protocol. The new protocol that I'm working on is building this faster than anything else I've ever done.
Yeah, I started really going on the breathing.
Good. Good.
Since we spoke last. All right. That's all I got.
That's all I need. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Texas. John, welcome to the program.
Hi, Kevin. Hey, I got a quick question before I get started on what I called about. Call screener, she put me back on hold right before she did. Did I hear her say Roll Tide possibly? Asking if she's an Alabama fan. Because I told her I was from Texas, and I'm assuming because if she's an Alabama fan and she told me that, just tell her Giga Maggie.
I don't know. She'll probably tell me here in chat, so I'll pass anything along. What's on your mind today?
There is one way that we still have a hope to defeat the bill that has been passed to hire more IRS agents, and that is by contacting our Congress people and telling them that we do not want them to fund the bill. And come this November, we have the ability to possibly vote for those who will run our campaign on not funding the bill.
Oh.
At least the U.S. Congress does have the purse strings. And so that is one way that we can possibly still defeat this.
It can't hurt. And here's the other thing you could do, although even I kind of, roll my eyes when I think about this. Clearly where I live, I am represented by Democrats across the board. That doesn't mean I still can't reach out to them. I don't vote for them. So, but I could still reach out to them and let it be known that I don't like the way I'm being represented. I doubt that it would do much good in today's world, because when you look at this bill and how outrageous it is and how the timing is worse than it could ever possibly be, we're in an inflationary period, and you're going to spend more money. That drives up inflation. We're in a point where we're now looking at a slowing economy, so we may be even talking about stagflation soon, and you're going to start auditing people? The timing of this could not be worse, and yet they're cramming it down our throats with not one single Republican vote. So they could care less what we think about what they're doing.
Well, I totally agree. That's why this election cycle this November
it's huge.
Can really it's going to be huge. Exactly.
You know what I'm a little worried about, and I'm confused, and I'm wondering if this is just mainstream media spinning everything so hard you can't see the real data. 3 or 4 months ago, all the polls were showing that in Congress, the Republicans were going to be just trampled. I mean, it wasn't even close. They were saying the Republicans were going to run the Senate, the House, all of it. now all of a sudden, I keep hearing from the mainstream media that it's a dead tie right now. What the hell happened? And where are all these Democrats that are so excited about voting for their Democrats? Because when I ask any Democrat if they agree with what's going on right now, I get crickets. I get zero response. The Democrats who voted for this administration don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. All we can do is go on past experience, and we know that the press lies to us. So we don't really. I don't think we can really take that at face value. We're just going to have to wait and see, and don't take it for granted that Republicans are going to win. You still got to get out and vote.
No, that's a good point. In fact, when the Republicans were running around saying, "Oh my God, we're going to wipe them out," my thought was, you should stop saying that. Just go back and do your job and stop bragging about how good the polls look. And now all of a sudden they don't. But here's also what I'm wondering. If we know the approval rating, look at the approval rating of the Democrats in this administration. It's the worst ever. We know that. They can't seem to hide that. If somehow they pull off the win and they manage to even hold on to just the Senate, aren't there going to be an awful lot of people that are going to question that election again?
Exactly. I was just going to bring that point up.
Yeah.
That, the angle they could be going for is to invalidate the election.
Yeah.
In their own mind.
I know.
I'm not going to put nothing past them these days.
Exactly.
You can't trust what they say.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
When you can't trust your own congressperson or I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but damn, I believe Trump won the election. I really do.
Yeah, I know. It's the whole thing is, and I think we're just heading for that again. I think this election is going to be so ugly this time. Hey, John, I'm going to cut you loose. It's getting really, really noisy, and I've got some other calls I've got to get to. We're off to KC. Kelly, welcome to the program.
Yeah, this is Kelly. Hey, Kevin, I want to thank you for everything you do for us, the research and the knowledge you give us that we don't have time to do it. Today I got a health problem about low platelets. I took a test. They've been dropping over past 2 years, and my last test was at 71. And I eat paleo. I eat good. Grass-fed beef. My chicken and pork may not be always clean, but most time I get it at Costco, and most time it's organic.
Okay.
My health has been pretty good. I have lost from 205 to 187 for no reason at all, and I can't put it back on. I've lost muscle mass. I used to do the gym real heavy. I've slacked off from that, but my diet's been real good.
Let me
been good.
Let me get some clarity here. So when did you change the way you ate? The first time. When did you kind of start eating paleo, keto, that kind of thing?
About 3 years ago.
And how much weight did you lose then?
None.
And you did
pretty good.
And you didn't want to, right?
Right.
Okay. But now all of a sudden you've lost 20 or 30 pounds and you don't know why.
Well, it's from 205 to 187, and it's been like 6 months ago when I lost it within a 3-month period. And I eat a lot of carbs, and I have no reason why, and I can't put it back on.
Interesting.
And my blood tests come all good. My CRP is 0.03.
That's excellent.
All my blood works good. My D3 is 70. It was at 144, and I had to drop it down a little bit.
Yeah, 70 is still really good. Nothing to worry about there. Boy, this is interesting.
But all my blood work, come out good. And then my doctor was saying it could be cancer, because of weight loss and stuff like that. But my WBC come out good.
Okay, I was going to say
normal.
Leukemia can all of these things would occur, low platelets, weight loss, that kind of thing. So I'm glad they tested for that. It doesn't sound like that's it. Are you finding that you're bleeding more?
No,
because that's platelets. That's really what they do. Platelets are like what causes our blood to clump and clot, so you stop bleeding. So normally when you start seeing low platelet count, you start seeing gums bleed more. You cut yourself, you can't get it to stop, things like that. I'm thinking this one's going to require a pretty deep dive. I'm not even sure if I would want to tackle this one. I think I would work with a functional medicine doctor on this one.
Yeah, my blood clot's, great. When I cut myself,
see, that's odd.
Quick.
That's odd. If you have low platelets, it shouldn't.
My chiropractor, he is an assistant. Her platelets have been from birth at 36.
Yeah, there are some people that
she has never gotten raised.
It just runs low, and it doesn't cause them the bleeding issues, which is confusing. It should, but it doesn't. Any other symptoms that you've noticed?
No, little history. I was on HRT back in Christmas. I've been on it for like 4 or 5 years. So I decided, after listening to some of the books you recommend, I decided to get off of it. And after I got off of it, that's when my weight loss hit. And then read the book of Dr. Ken Berry.
Well, that makes total sense.
He was recommending. Well, see, I got back on it as I listened to that book, The Lies Doctors Told You, from Ken Berry, and he recommends not letting your testosterone get too low, because he will get on bioidentical hormones if it's got too low.
Well,
and he recommended a book called Testosterone for Life, and that has a lot of research in it.
This may be one place where I disagree with Dr. Berry. And knowing Dr. Berry, I think he went to the easy answer first on this one. And bioidentical hormones, they're better than traditional, hormones. I still don't like them. I don't think we should be messing with hormones unless nothing else has worked. Here's what I would try before I would try the hormone therapy for testosterone. Seriously, the X3 bar and the yogurt. It's incredible how much we see people's testosterone levels go up with those two things. And that's completely natural.
Well, I do yogurt.
The L-Reuteride?
I've done the yogurt. Okay. First time you told me about it, I read the book, super good, and I made 3 gallons of it first within 2 weeks.
I would keep eating the yogurt daily, and I would start resistance training. It doesn't have to be the X3 bar. That's what I really prefer. But resistance training will build testosterone. It will build muscle. It will build testosterone. And the fact that when you started changing hormone therapy, you lost weight makes total sense. Weight is all about hormones. Now, we don't always understand it, and you went back on but didn't gain the weight back. We don't know why, but I'm positive that the weight change was because of the fluctuating hormones.
Yeah. I used to be a gym rat. I used to, back before Christmas, I used to lift pig, and I've been doing that since 1984. I was in great shape and all that, but the muscle loss kind of gave me, fear.
I would, right now I don't hear anything dangerous about this. You're not suffering, massive bleeding events or anything. So I would just try the yogurt every day, the X3 bar, or some sort of resistance training at least 3 times a week. I may even try more. And see what happens, and watch that number. And if it doesn't work, then I just think we're going to have to go back. We're going to have to do some pretty deep blood work to figure this one out, I think.
Yeah, they want me, they did ultrasound on my spleen, because I think, spleen has to do with the platelets too.
Right.
And so they did that, which that was a waste of money. I had you sitting on my shoulder with a pitchfork saying, don't do it, which I did it.
Well, no, but that reminds me of something else we can add to this that might help with the platelet count. Are you doing the Wim Hof breathing?
I have done that. I stopped. Reason I stopped, back Christmas time, I was diagnosed with AFib, and no, I couldn't pass my physical because I had AFib. I passed it, but she wouldn't pass me and give me my card because she said I had AFib. So,
right.
I knew what was problems. So I had to go to the cardiologist, which was a nurse practitioner, only one I could see in a fast time. So she was trying to put me on all medication, and I said no. I said, "Is it nerve in your neck pinch?" She said, "Not likely." So I got a chiropractor. I've been going for 2.5 years. I talked to him. Said, "Yes, it's a pinched nerve in your neck." I said, "I know it was. This is a electrical issue."
You're right.
And that
Right.
just ticked me off.
Well-
all she wanted to do is put me on medication.
Well, here's the thing.
So I fixed that.
You know what medications they put you on for AFib?
Yeah, it's blood thinners.
Blood thinners. Yeah, you've already got an issue.
Yeah, I know.
The last thing we want to do is give
I
you
know.
a blood thinner. Holy cow. So I think I would try this one on your own, but I would add the breathing back in because the Wim Hof breathing really stimulates the spleen.
Yeah, I'm taking Desicate spleen
Okay, good. Good.
pills too.
That's a good idea.
And
Yeah.
so I took that, and I'm taking bone marrow, Desicate bone marrow too, for the platelets.
Right.
Now, I have tried from a book I listened to is alfalfa sprouts. Now, when I did that, my test was 81. When I started eating them, it went up to 87. And I quit eating them, and the reason I quit eating them, I tried fermenting them, and that tastes like crap. And I couldn't eat them no more.
Yeah,
I tried everything you can do ferment.
Yeah, you could go back to that if it made a slight improvement. It's not a big improvement, but it's an improvement, and yeah, I might try that again. I think I would work on this a little bit. Go back to the breathing, resistance training, and the yogurt. Let's just see if we can get that number back up.
Yeah, I'm going to hit the gym back. I rejoined on my gym, so I'm going to go
There
back
you go.
to that.
Good.
I can't do it at a house because I have no motivation. I used to buy. I had a Bowflex, couple of Bowflexes. I just didn't get motivated, so that's why I went back to the gym.
Then that's exactly what you should do.
Probably at my house, I didn't have enough errors to look at myself when I was working out. So that's why I went back to the gym. But
that's a real thing. I feel the same way.
It is.
Yeah, it's a real thing. I have no mirrors down in the room where I'm working out, and I'm like, why don't I have any mirrors down here? I hate working out like this. And people may think that's weird, but no, I like to watch myself the whole time I'm working out.
Yeah, so you watch your form.
Yeah.
But I swear the mirrors in the gym makes you look bigger. I ain't kidding you.
That makes you feel good too,
make
though.
you look
I
bigger.
know. Yeah. That's right.
That's motivation.
That's
why
it.
I can't do it at the house. Bowflex was great home gyms. I mean, it worked me good.
Yeah, I've had a
But
Bowflex home gym. I
had
liked
no
it.
motivation for it.
Yeah. No, if that's the case, then go to the gym. By all means, go to the gym.
I think that's the only thing that I have cholesterol. Let's talk just one thing about cholesterol. My cholesterol was out of whack. It was 366 total, which I don't worry about cholesterol.
Right.
But my LDL was 307, and my HDL was 49. My triglycerides were 75. Reason it was at that because it was at Christmas time, and you know how you eat at Christmas on the holidays.
Your triglycerides are low. That's actually a really good number for triglycerides. Your HDL, we'd like to see that higher. The LDL is kind of off the charts. You know, the one thing we recommend when LDL is high, and there's a new article I just bookmarked the other day because I didn't have time to read it, but it was an article about high LDL on keto or carnivore diets and whether or not we should even worry about it or try to treat it. Problem is I didn't get a chance to read it yet, so I'll have to go back to it.
But I fixed it. I took certain niacin and red yeast rice.
Oh, yeah.
And my numbers was 201, and my LDL went from 307 to 143. And my triglycerides went to 39, and my HDL went to 59. That's within a 6-month period. So I've taken in 2 pills.
Excellent. You know, you're pretty good at this. You're reading, you're paying attention, you're trying things, you're following things. That's excellent. I think I would work on this one yourself for a little while.
Yeah, reason I did that because I did a particle separation test and it was borderline. It was in a lot of yellow.
Okay.
That scared me.
Okay.
So that's why I went on them 2 pills and
Good.
dropped it down. It was out of whack.
No, that's excellent.
That's what scared me. The LDL was keep going. It was keep climbing. Every time I took 6 month blood test, it kept going up. Way up.
Something.
And I got scared.
Yeah, no, I would too. That's unusual, and we shouldn't see that. So, but again, you're good at this. You're in tune with your body. You're willing to go read and do the research and try things, and it's working. And I would much rather see somebody do these things on their own. So give this one a try. I'm not too worried about this platelet count right now, so it's not like any kind of emergency situation. I would work on this with the breathing, the yogurt, and a lot of resistance training, and let's see what happens.
And the Instinct watch, I got one of them, and my body battery keeps, man, it's like you talk about Lisa. Mine stays around 5. I have gotten it up to 80.
You got to get back in the gym.
It's sitting at 5.
I will tell you what will fix this every time is my protocol. And the gym is a part of that. And it's probably the actual resistance training may be the biggest part of this that helps our body battery and our stress levels stay where we want them.
Well, I have a lot of stress according to the watch. Sometimes 75 to 80.
Those two go hand in hand. When your body battery is low, it will be because your stress level is high. Those two absolutely go hand in hand. We're reading the same number. We're reading that HRV number to calculate that. So they always work inverse. When your stress is high, your body battery will drop fast. If your stress is low, your body battery will stay high.
And my heart rate used to be in the 40s. Now it stays between, it'll get up sometimes to 120. I'm not doing that. And it don't stay, it stays in 60 to 80 a lot of times.
60 to 80
I don't understand that.
Yeah, 60 to 80 is completely normal. Wouldn't worry about that at all. Why it was low, I don't know, and I don't know why mine's low. My average, the last time I looked, was 47, I think. And it shouldn't be. I mean, that's elite endurance athlete level, and that is not me. I don't work out anywhere near enough, especially cardio, to have a heart rate like that. But I can't find any other reason why it's like that. Now, when you start seeing those spikes up to 120, what you may want to pay attention to is, did it happen within an hour or two after you ate, and what did you eat that may have caused it? That may actually be a food reaction.
It could be. A lot of times it just spikes when I'm driving down the road.
Okay.
Kind of worried.
Yeah.
Like I said, I never was much cardio. I was a heavy lifter.
Yeah, so you've got some weird cardio issues going on. If you don't get this kind of figured out and resolved in, maybe 60 to 90 days, I might consider a consult with Dr. Wolfson.
Yeah, I was fixing to do that with my AFib.
Yeah, well, definitely with the AFib. Yeah, he can help you a lot with that. But, we've got the platelets, which is a blood issue. We've got the AFib. We've got this weird, heart rate issue going on once in a while. I think that this would be a case for Dr. Wolfson.
Yeah, my chiropractor, he's studying the functional medicine. His brother-in-law is Josh Axe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dr. Axe is excellent.
So he has a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has a lot of knowledge.
Dr. Axe probably has one of the best websites in the business. I mean, I use his website all the time to look stuff up.
Yeah, he's got a lot of information on
that.
One last question, Kevin, about politics.
Yeah.
I know you're not a conspiracy theorist, but the path the Democrats is on, to ticking off all the Democrats, the Hispanics, the blacks, and all that, for some reason it just makes me think they're not coming out of office in November. Something's going to come up. to keep him in that office.
That's
by looking at what happened.
That's what I'm worried about. Yeah.
I mean, they're not changing their path.
No,
they're getting worse and worse.
I've been saying this, that no matter how many polls come out and their numbers keep getting worse, they don't seem to care. They double and triple down on these policies that nobody seems to like. Their own party doesn't even want this stuff. So then I wonder, look, they're not stupid people. I mean, AOC might be, but they're not. I mean, come on, they've got some intelligence, and I can't understand what they're doing, and that scares me. Like, they don't care because they know they're not going to end up out of power, and I don't get it.
But they need the Hispanics vote, and they're down to 19% approval rate.
It's awful. I know.
Like this bill they're fixing to pass.
And here's the thing. I would venture to say, sorry to interrupt, but I would venture to say that if they would do just one thing, if they would actually focus on the border and go do something, their Hispanic support would probably double.
Well, they're letting everything go. That's the border open. Not doing nothing about the borders. Over, I think it was 135 different countries coming through the border.
Well, exactly.
They let China bought $6 billion of land next to the military site.
I know.
Not doing nothing about that.
And
China sent Pelosi over there to Taiwan for some reason. We ain't had nobody over there since 1997.
And now they're like
this plan.
Yeah, now it's like we're best friends with Taiwan all of a sudden. We're over there again and aggravating China. And not that I'm afraid of China, but you don't poke the bear if you don't have to. And we don't have to with this Taiwan thing. I don't know why we're doing this. But the Democrats right now, I'm worried. And go back to the border. If you think it pisses us off that we have an open border, you talk to Hispanics that did it the right way, that worked and sacrificed and did what they had to do to become citizens here. They really hate the fact that now we're just letting people walk in.
Well, something going on with the fentanyl too. All of a sudden, it's coming in there, killing people left and right. Why would drug dealers kill their own people?
Well,
that's what I can't understand. Over 100,000 people dying of it.
Let me explain it to you. There's actually a really simple answer to this, but it's kind of crazy. So this is a topic that I've studied and followed for years. I'm just fascinated by addiction. And so here's what happens in the drug world. Drug worlds are pretty local. The block, the corner, or whatever, same dealers, same people, same addicts. This is what happens when a new and it used to just be heroin, but let's put fentanyl out of this for a while. Heroin, by the time it makes it to the street, has been stepped on and cut so many times that it's nowhere near pure heroin anymore. But that also means you're going to have a wide variation. You're going to have stuff that, really got stepped on so hard that people almost get no effect out of it. But then you might get some stuff that happened to make it to the street without, 8 people in between, and it's still pretty pure. When that happens and that new batch hits the streets, and this is also why heroin dealers actually brand their product. They name it. So that, people start to recognize it. So if I'm a heroin dealer and I say, hey, I have my new XXX, heroin on the market, and somebody ODs, everybody runs to me to buy it. That's how they think. Heroin addicts and now fentanyl addicts, because just think of fentanyl as really, really, fentanyl is assault heroin. Think about it like that. It's just really, really powerful heroin is what it is. They're virtually identical. But addicts get to the point where they can't get high anymore. They just take the drug so that they don't get sick and go into withdrawals, but they don't really enjoy it anymore. They don't get high anymore unless they can get really powerful heroin. Then they can get high again. And that's what they want. So when somebody dies of an overdose, everybody runs to that dealer.
Well, the fentanyl, I mean, I had a news story about a woman picked up a dollar bill she's seen on the floor and passed out.
It's happened. It's happened to law enforcement personnel have ended up in the hospital over touching something that had fentanyl. But the thing is, so if you and I, we've never taken fentanyl in our life, I'm assuming you haven't, it would only take 2 grains. And a grain is like the size of a piece of salt, a grain of salt. It would only take 2 grains of heroin or fentanyl to kill you and I almost immediately. People who take fentanyl, though, build up tolerances over time, and they can handle incredible amounts of fentanyl without dying. Here's where they end up dying. Yeah. This is a really common pattern. They finally go to detox and therapy, and they end up quitting for a month or 2. And then they go back. And when they go back, they take the same dose they used to take, and it'll kill them. That's the number one reason for overdose deaths is somebody quit, lost their tolerance, and they go back and take it, and it kills them.
Well, see, I read that book you recommend, The World is Just Beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't be attacked from the outside. So we are going to be attacked from the inside. What's going on with China buying all this land up and everything?
Yeah, that's
drugs coming across the border.
That's a good point. We're
going to be like a Trojan horse.
Yeah, yeah. I'm at least a little optimistic because we still have time to change that. I'm just not sure how we're going to do it, unless we can get people to vote differently.
Democrats don't come out of office, we through. We done.
I agree. I agree.
We're done.
And
it just their course they own just scared me. Because after I seen what happened, how they did in 2020, and Biden and Harris was not the best candidate they could.
Oh my God!
They picked the 2 worst candidates.
I know.
Why? Why did they pick the 2 worst?
I have no idea.
I
have no idea.
I don't either.
The only thing
what's coming up in November.
The one thing that did happen, and honestly. So this is the weird thing. If you go back and we look at the election, there was a point where it looked like Bernie Sanders was about to come out as the front runner. And that's when everything changed.
Yeah.
And the Democrats turned on him, and they wanted anybody except him. But what I don't understand is why, because they're pushing his agenda now. Why didn't we just elect him? We're pushing his whole agenda.
Because he couldn't be controlled like Biden.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, you might be right.
Biden, his mindset, they can control him so easy.
Oh, yeah.
And, he does anything what they tell him to.
Yeah, he's a puppet.
That was a joke.
Well, come on.
I hope they don't.
She didn't even.
Really, it's like talking like I'm in first grade.
In the primaries, she didn't even get the most votes from her own damn state.
Well, the Democrats hated her before she even ran. Biden didn't like her.
I know. Well,
but picked her.
But you know what? He said he had to have a woman of color.
Oh, he could find somebody off the street better than her.
I agree. But it's pure identity politics. That's all that matters to them.
But I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I think it's going to deal not with the virus this time. I think it's going to do with China and Russia.
I'm having the same. Yeah, I'm having the same fears as you are. Just don't know what it is yet. But we'll keep an eye on it. So call me back. We'll talk about it. All right, I'm going to head off to Oklahoma this time. Paul, welcome to the program.
Howdy.
What's on your mind today?
Only thing AOC ever bought. Oil change, but hang on. Only thing AOC ever brought to the table was a drink. So,
yeah, she's not exactly Rhodes Scholar material. I'll tell you that.
Roadkill is what she should be. Yeah.
There you go.
I use TA Petro when I get an oil change.
Okay.
So the ultimate PM they call it. So you get your oil change, they lube the tractor, lube your trailer, change all your filters, change your oil, everything. Cummins, Shell Rotella, full synthetic, and usually it costs me about $580 for oil change.
Yeah, so it's up. I mean, you're getting a lot, and it's synthetic and all that. I get it, but that's up significantly.
Yep.
I mean, there's no doubt. Some of the other numbers, like I said, I just didn't want to get too deep into them today because I had so many calls. But they went through expenses, and maintenance costs were way up. Joel gave us some numbers from Ploger's fleet last week that are about 1/3.
Yeah, that blew me away.
Yeah, they're about 1/3 of what the industry average is.
Oh, my one visit to Pittsburgh Power the other day.
Yeah.
If I base my year on 120,000 miles, that one visit cost me 12.5 cents a mile for the year. But,
yeah.
But that was a turbo, clean the DPF, run an overhead. There was a few things on there, I can't remember everything. So,
yeah.
But I wish I could have my maintenance cost as low as what Joel's got his down. So,
that's incredible.
Yeah. So, but I do own my own trailer, which I do have a whole nother set of problems with that. So the car carrier is a little bit more, can be a little bit more expensive than a box trailer.
I was just going to say, you spend, significant more maintaining a car hauler than you do a van or a flatbed. Yeah.
Well, I replaced 2 pieces of decking earlier this year off one deck because it split. And it's aluminum, and it was $1,800.
Yeah.
I got there, and I was gone 6 hours later.
Yeah.
And I took my old aluminum with me to use it for patches.
Yeah, I was going to say $1,800 for $3 worth of aluminum.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess it takes a lot of beer cans to make a section of decking for my trailer. So.
That's right.
So that's all I got today.
All right, that's all I need. Thanks for the call, and we are going to wrap it up. We're just about at the 2-hour mark today. Calls were a little slow to come in, but then they certainly picked up nicely. I'm going to wrap this up today, and we will see you back here tomorrow for the Power Hour and the Pit, both. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy, always. Do the hard work and master the journey.